We have a problem. See, we can't just like hold a big knot of Christmas lights.
Gordian knot.
It is. And I have to like...
Just jingle, jangle, and tangle them.
Don't even get me started on Jingle and Jangle. Those two little fuck nuggets.
Yeah.
So
this is the sequel to the other Santa Claus one we watched?
See, I don't know. It's The Year Without a Santa Claus, another Rankin Bass. Because we were going to do a Disney one, but I'm having issues finding it in its correct entirety on YouTube. Like, I think if I skulk about, I can put like a playlist together or something. But that wasn't coming together tonight, and this is not coming apart either.
I'll do it.
So,
I'll work on that while we talk.
We watched The Year Without a Santa Claus, which is one of the most popular Rankin Bass Christmas specials.
People are stupid.
I never liked it. I wasn't a fan. I was like, oh, it's that one.
I did burst out laughing out of confusion when I realized that the song that the fucking Winter Super Saiyan sings is the fucking song that Mr. Freeze had his men sing from in Batman and Robin.
And she gives me this look like, I know that song. And I'm like, it's the real famous song from this special.
That was the only... Batman and Robin's the only time I'd come across it.
And then it closes with a rendition of Here Comes Santa Claus. You know, right down Santa Claus Lane. And she turns to me and she goes, I know this song. And I'm like, yeah, it's a Christmas carol. It's a Christmas song.
What about a Christmas carol in The Walking Dead?
See, when I was working at the bookshop, we had Carol and Carl. And so sometimes you'd be talking to someone and they would be like, yeah, I was telling Carl. And you're like, wait, were you telling Carol or Carl? Oh, I was telling Carl. I'm like, oh, okay. But I got an early Christmas present. It's Lucas, the spider. See, I had I remember hearing that they were doing Lucas the Spider plushies, and I said I'm pre-ordering it, and this was like months and months and months ago, and I completely forgot. He's got little legs too. And
I didn't get any Christmas presents.
Well, but I paid for this, like in the summer.
I got no Christmas presents.
You did. They just.
She got Christmas presents from me though.
No, you have lots of Christmas presents. They're just wrapped up in the closet, so don't.
No, don't exist.
But so yeah, so she was like, oh yeah, so this plushie this soft, you know, plushy seeming package came for you, and it was from Germany, and I'm like,
did
what?
Creature send something random?
No, but it was Lucas the Spider. But anyway, so alright, so like I said, this was not one of my favorites. So Santa Claus this is why we have this idea that this is a direct sequel from Santa Claus is Coming to Town, because Santa Claus is voiced also by Mickey Rooney.
It's the Rankin Bass, you know, stop motion Santa Claus Cinematic Universe. Yeah.
But the thing is, there are so many different origin of Santa Claus movies that they've done, and they're all different.
All the Mickey Rooney ones are all connected, obviously.
Well, the my favorite is the Story of Santa Claus, which was our big finale last time we did the Christmas thing, because it involves like forest spirits and like, you know.
Because you have a lot of them at North Pole.
No, he wasn't. He didn't originally start at the North Pole.
I know. I just think it's funny. It's like, yeah, who made him Santa Claus to do with the North Pole? Forest people.
The great act, the forest spirit. But so Santa Claus wakes up and he's like kind of not feeling well, and he's just kind of not into it, and whatever. And Mrs. Claus is like, no, sure, but you know, you have to be Santa Claus. He's like, yeah, I'm tired and I'm sore.
There's a Santa Claus in your contract that says if you don't feel like doing Christmas, it's going to be a shit adventure. Do you want to inflict that on the world's sake, Nick?
Someone's going to have to save Christmas. This is always about saving Christmas. Oh my. But right, so then the North Pole's doctor shows up, who is like...
He's the best character.
You know what he reminds me of? He reminds me a little teeny bit of DeForest Kelley as Bones.
If he was a goblin.
Yeah. And so he's like, well, you never did quite get over that pneumonia you had last Christmas.
I hate you all. Fuck off.
And he's like, and then Santa Claus is like, yeah, well, that's true. I have been feeling a little run down recently. And Mrs. Claus is like, no, but you have to go because people believe in you. And the doctor's like, ha, no one believes in Santa Claus anymore. Well, see you later. And I'm like,
I feel like being out of a job.
I'm like, fine spouse you are. You're like, oh my God.
So I'm still untangling.
How did she die? They asked. Strangled by 5-pound Christmas lights from Tesco. But yeah, so like her own spouse is like, obviously by the doctor's admission, never got over the pneumonia he had last year. She's like, no, but sure, you need to go out all night in an open air sleigh and probably die. You know, you have to. And he's like, nah, you know what? Call the newspapers, tell the world, tell all the elves, I'm just gonna take a holiday. And then everyone's like, okay, yeah, sure, no, that's fine. and production shuts down, and she's like, but no, we can't do this. So she recruits 2 elves, Jingle and Jangle, who are exactly as obnoxious as their name sounds. And so Jingle is like the head elf, and Jangle is distinctive.
Shows how amazing standards Santa Claus has.
Pretty much. He's distinctive only because he's a little bit taller and his nose looks like a dick. Like he literally is a dick face. Like it's huge. It's like
he has what in the Geo review I referred to as a cunnilingus face. As in, if he was performing cunnilingus with someone, his nose is the perfect size and shape to perform additional services while doing cunnilingus.
Ew. I don't want to think about elves having sex. That upsets me. Right, so then she's like, oh, well, he thinks that people don't believe in him, so you have to go and, find evidence that people do believe in Santa Claus. So they take Vixen, who we find out is the youngest of the reindeer.
Oh, turns out I was wrong. In the previous one, I said that the reindeer, the Vixen was obviously some sort of queer, because queer of some sort, because had a girl's name but had horns, so therefore was a guy. But I was informed in the comments that all female reindeers do have horns, so I was wrong.
You got well actually.
Yes, I did, and I'm always happy to have new information. So I'm going to correct that. All reindeers are queer.
Right, so they fly into the territory of these 2 brothers, the Heat Miser and the Freeze Miser, who are having like a war in the clouds. And
They're Super Saiyans.
Yeah, they do look like that. They get shot down, and then they recover. But they land in this place called Southtown, which is an all-American town, except for like the fashion choices range from the 1910s up through the 1950s. Like there's a wee boy that we meet eventually who's kind of a main character, but he's literally dressed like Leave It to Beaver, like out of like the late 40s, early 50s. But then, like I say, you see like men walking around in bowler caps with a very stiff pre-World War I like collar and tie.
Yeah, it's all American. If the American you're discussing is Tim Burton.
Yeah, so I really do feel like it's another one of those Japanese ideas of what American towns in the Midwest are like. Because there's like an American flag, and like the mayor is a comedy mayor who doesn't really do anything, and his mustache moves independently of the rest of his face.
He looks like a village drunkard in an early Irish Irish play.
Yeah, because he's dressed all in shades of green. He really does look like he belongs in a completely different Rankin Bass holiday special.
St. Patrick's Day, doity doity doy. Woo!
Right, so they immediately get ticketed by some cop for possessing a reindeer without a headlight
license.
Well, no, that comes later. And then so they decide to take socks and put them over Vixen's ears and little horns, and then make her a dog. And they're like, oh, well, she's not well, so we'll just leave her here under this tree while we talk to school kids. And so they go to these school kids, they're like, hey, kids, you believe in Santa Claus, right? And the kids are like, no. And they're like, what? And they're like, yeah, we read in the paper. It was all over the news. It was on TV. Santa Claus is taking a holiday this year. The kids are like, yeah, and good for him. What's in our business if he does that? Yeah.
Yeah, these kids are amazingly reasonable, but at the same time, they don't believe in Santa Claus, even though they have evidence that he exists.
Yeah, they're like, anyway, believing in Santa Claus, that's for little kids. So we gotta go. Bye. So then Santa Claus wakes up and... Oh, wait, no. He wakes up from his nap, and he accuses Mrs. Claus of being up to something because he says, whenever you don't look like you're up to anything, you're up to everything. And I'm like, what kind of...
Plus,
they need couples therapy. Like, upon what basis is their marriage built?
Plus, she's clearly up for something.
She's doing the ironing, actually.
I know, but she is.
But then she's like, oh, poor Jingle and Jangle, completely giving herself away. And I'm like, geez, Mrs. Claus, never, try to have an affair or nothing.
She's a really good secret agent.
So she basically spills her guts, and he's like, oh no, but Vixen's the youngest, and Jingle are idiots. He doesn't say that. I better go do something. So he takes one of the other reindeer, it's never really described. So he puts on like a red suit and like red bowler cap, and he goes to Southtown, and then...
I think I got it.
Yeah.
I think he took Donner just so it could be ironic if he gets caught in a snowstorm and have to eat him.
Huh? So he ends up running into... Yeah, he's outside the main little kid's house, who has a little buck teeth. And he's like, excuse me, have you seen these 2 wee fellas around? And the kid's like, oh yeah, sure, they were at the schoolyard, fucking around,
The kid looks like Gary Busey, and so does his dad.
Aye. And then so Santa Claus, sneezes, and the mom says, was that to the kid from she was indoors. She's like, is that you sneezing? And he's like, no, it's my friend, Mr. Claus. because that's what he called himself. And she's like, well, tell your friend to come on in and I'll give him some tea. And he's like, all right, sure. And I'm like, we're like, yeah, you know, my friend, the old man, the pedophile.
The old man with the beard who I've never met before.
My friend, Mr. Claus, the... Oh, no. But it's on my ear. So then they have... there's every 5 seconds there's a musical number, FYI, BTW. And so then they have a wee aside.
We had... We're doing glittery hand fastening.
It's hand fasting, not hand fastening.
Well, they are fastened, though.
That's true. Now we're really married.
See? Divorced. Married.
Hey.
Divorced. Married.
Aw. But, right, I need this hand back, though. So it can, like, scratch my forehead.
Ultra divorced.
But, right, so then they have a wee song, because... The Santa Claus like, do you believe in Santa Claus? The boy's like, no, it's for kids. And the parents like, but we believe in Santa Claus. They don't even know that Santa Claus is sitting at the kitchen table, but they're like, oh, come on, perpetuate the cultural myth of Santa Claus. And then the kid says to him, well, what about you, Mr. Claus? Do you believe in Santa Claus?
Mr.
Like,
Klaus, the guy with the big fucking beard who's
and the red
fat
suit.
and the...
I mean, it is a red business suit, but still.
People in this fucking town are...
Numbnuts. That's what they are. They're numbnuts.
I was going to come up with something really, really intelligent to comment on them, but, you know, that seems like it's unfair given how dumb they are, so I'll just put as much effort as they put into thinking and say, they're dumb.
Right. But, like, how existential is that? You know, like, do you believe in Santa Claus? I don't know. Do I believe in myself? Is it like, you know, I think therefore I am, and then he'll just, like, spontaneously decombust if he doesn't?
And he sings a song.
He sings a song.
Combust.
Yeah, but like decombust. That sounds like it, like
So
one of those.
That's a combustion going in reverse.
Yes, it's
you
like
can't unburn a log.
Yeah, it's like implosion.
It means a fire gun. It means a fire's reversed.
That'd be really cool.
It would.
But like now imagining that going down. Do you know one time in science class I really got on my teacher's nerves because I was like, oh, I have a question. And bear in mind, this was in high school. This was not like in primary school or anything like that. And she's like, yes. And I was like, okay. So, if you took a log, right, and you heated it up so hot, would it go into its liquid state, right? And she goes, oh, no, you see, because when it got hot enough, because of the amount of heat, it would start to combust. It would burst into flames. I said, oh. Ooh. And she's like, yes, what? I'm like, what if you took a log and you put it in a vacuum? You heated it up and heated it up and heated it up. Because it's a vacuum, it couldn't combust. Would you have liquid log then?
I doubt it. I think it would
just
stay.
And she was like, no, like a lot of the elements would probably break down into us at all.
It may well, actually, if it breaks down, like she described, it may well turn into a liquid. But I would assume it would be something like superheating, where the heat happens, but the actual thing doesn't happen. And then if any sort of air got into it, then it would spontaneously explode.
That'd be pretty cool. And so then I was like, ooh, and she's like, yes, Amanda, what is it? And I was like, okay, so if you took diamond, right? You heated it up and heated it up and heated it up, would it actually become diamond vapor? And she's like, you'd need the kind of energy that exists in the center of the sun. But yes, technically that's possible. Like, that'd be cool. She hated me. She really did.
I fucking love you.
This was in chemistry class, and I was really angry because I wanted... She didn't like me at all because I was rubbish at math, so I was rubbish at chemistry. But I really wanted to go into AP Bio, and she refused to sign the paper to let me go into AP Bio, so I ended up in biotech in senior year.
I fucking love you. Those questions, that is basically me LARPing as you.
Oh god, yeah, that's true. I'm surprisingly simple about some things. Like, the time that we had in science class, this was the year later in biotech with Mr. Ford, we had a pressurized tank of oxygen, and a pressurized tank of hydrogen. And then we had a thing in the middle. And then he unpressurized the system, and they came together in the middle, and they made water! And I was like, okay, obviously, H2O, hydrogen and oxygen, you put them together, they make water. But, like, I was so impressed. I was like, and then we got to drink the water, because we had a spigot, and we got to drink the water that we created, and I was just buzzing for days.
Tell the corollary to this story.
And so I was telling the story a few years ago when Uni and I was in undergrad. The point of the story was, I can be remarkably simple sometimes. And so it was a self-depreciating story about, you know, how sometimes I'm an idiot. And so I was telling my three friends, I was like, and then we got to drink the water, and I was talking about this for a week. And one of my friends goes, oh, I can't believe you did that. And I was like, what? And she's like, I would never drink lab-created water. And I was like, excuse me? And she's like, well, you could get cancer. It's really dangerous. It's not natural. And I blinked several times and I looked at her and I said, what do you think is in water exactly? Besides hydrogen and oxygen? And she's like, well, but it's made in a lab. It's not natural. It's not from God.
This is a person in a STEM degree.
So she didn't believe in distilled water. And I said, you drink beer, right? And she says, yeah, I like beer. I said, you know that beer is made from distilled water, right? To purify it, right? And she's like, no, but see, it's natural because they get the water from somewhere else. And I was like, my brain hurts. I just can't. But anyway, so then Santa Claus sings a song and he realizes what's happened. You know, the little kids are, oh yeah, by the way, those two guys ran off because their dog got took by the dog catcher. And so then he's like, oh fuck, shit's got real. So he like goes out, jumps on his reindeer and flies off.
The fucking reindeer, the dog catcher. They got a reindeer who's got fucking socks on their horns.
And like it's really sick now that it's down in the valley. And so we're just kind of worried that like, you know, the North Pole inhabitants have brought like that fucking Andromeda strain to this town. Like
these are the dumbest dog catchers. I mean, these are dumber than the guys in Life Returns, and those guys in Life Returns
from the 1930s.
They were literally confused by the fact that dogs were barking, and they ran a fucking dog pound.
And so she was like, "Oh, this plot doesn't. Because I'm sorry. There's another part of the plot. This is so bad." So they go to the dog catcher, and then the dog catcher will not release Vixen. So they go to the mayor. And the mayor, they're like, we're elves from the North Pole, actually, and so we kind of need our reindeer back. And he's like, yeah, that's really funny.
You can have it back if it snows here, and this is near Atlanta.
Yeah, he says it's never snowed here in over 100 years. And they're like, all right, we can do this, we can do this. So they go off to ask, oh no, they go off somewhere, and then we have the bit with Santa Claus. And then she was like, it's really stupid that the pound just wouldn't release the dog. And I said, they probably couldn't pay the fine. So what happens is Santa Claus goes to the pound, pays the fine, and then he's like...
With magic Santa pound,
I guess,
apparently.
And then pulls the socks off, and the dog catcher's like, well, I'll be, it's a reindeer, Will. What are you going to do about that? So then Santa Claus takes Vixen back to the North Pole to care for her. In the meantime, the elves are like, oh, shit, I know, let's just call Mrs. Claus. So they call her on the phone, because that's a thing. So she comes down, and she's like, oh, we'll go see the Freeze Miser. He'll make it snow. And
because they need the snow to release the reindeer that's already being released.
But they don't know this. And so they go to the Freeze Miser, and he sings his song. And, okay, once I realized this, I just could not think about anything else. The fact that his hair is, like, this kind of frozen thing, and it looks like somebody spunked on his head and it froze. And once I saw that, I
want to see that porno so I can review it. Icicle dicks. So, I'd be, ironically, so hot.
And he's a pretty personable guy. He's like, yeah, sure, no problem, but that's in my stepbrother's territory, and he's kind of a dick, so you have to go ask him. So they go to the Heat Miser, and he sings a song.
He's basically Goldmember from the movie Goldmember if he was a fucking Super Saiyan.
The thing is that, like, he has, like, a whole bunch of little servants that are basically naked little troll doll versions of him, and...
It looked like they were in like, a jumpsuit.
Oh, okay, that's even better. And he's like, alright, yeah, if my brother will give me the North Pole. So neither of them will cooperate, so she goes to... over their heads.
With his little slaves. I am, the Heat Miser ones, I'm seeing a Peter O'Toole and Caligula sort of relationship between him and Peter O'Toole's Tiberius and his little fishies with this Heat Miser and these little troll doll guys.
Right. So they go to Mother Nature, and she makes them. She's like, all right, you let it snow in this town for one day, and you let there be an ice spring day in the North Pole, and there
which is really wonderful because the North Pole is literally on a frozen sea of ice.
Yeah, but like a spring day in the Arctic Circle is a lot different than a spring day in Florida.
I know, but because they're swapping thing from like Atlanta, so near Atlantis, so that may well be able to melt the ice.
Near Atlanta, no, because near Atlanta in the winter it might not get below zero, but like.
Okay, so yeah, I'm thinking like.
I'll just maybe like in the 50s or something.
It still wouldn't be a good idea.
Right. There's so many, like, this plot is so complicated. So then they get their snow, but it doesn't really even matter anymore because, the Vixen's already back. So everybody goes back where they belong. And then so, you know...
And Mother Nature, she's clearly got preference for the much nastier of the brothers, the heat guy.
Yeah.
Because she's living in a place that has no snow. So, you know, if
she's
she
living
was...
in basically what looks like a farm in the Midwest.
Yeah, if she... Like a cosmic farm. If she was...
Cosmic Farm is a great name for a band.
If she was, like, you know, being equal to both of them, you know, because that guy's like, I like heat and I like snow. And it's like, then she should have had, like, I don't know, sleet or something.
Ew. That would be nasty. I like cold and... But anyway, so Santa Claus goes back home to rest because he's still sick. And so then Mrs. Claus, like, tells the children of the world to all come to the North Pole. And they're shown, like, almost like, you know, the, what is it, United Colors of Benetton?
Yeah.
Like, It's a Small World. Like, there's Inuit children and Japanese children and African tribes children and...
Did she tell them about with a phone call? Because if she did, then they've stolen a plot. Then this has got the same plot point as in The Forest of the Night.
No, I think she probably, like, called her press agent.
Naturally.
They've got a press agent that can alert the papers to their moves. But so, all of these, you know, children come forth to, like, post all of their support to Santa Claus, except it's the one girl who sings the song, I'll Have a Blue Christmas Without You. And so Santa Claus is like, well, hell, we gotta do it now. I guess I'm cured now of my pneumonia, so...
The little girl is like... The actual model of her inside like this drawing of a house, and I was like,
it's
holy
really
fuck, it's Paper House.
Really
the Bernard Rose film, the guy who made Candyman, it was his film beforehand. It's sort of like a psychological horror film about this girl who, like, when she sleeps, she goes to this land where this boy is, like, trapped in a drawing of a house she did, and she can create stuff in it. And it turns out he's a boy in a coma across town, and, like, there's all sorts of drama shit going on. So she lives in fucking Paper House!
That's kind of a cool plot.
Yeah, it's a decent film.
But, yeah, so then everything's grand. And then they sing, Here Comes Santa Claus, and that's the end. Leaving us to wonder what is next for Mickey Rooney Santa Claus in the extended Santa Claus origin universe.
I gotta say the Blue Christmas song has nothing on Mud's Lonely This Christmas, which is the greatest depressing Christmas song ever. It'll be lonely this Christmas without you to hold. It'll be cold, so cold without you to hold. This Christmas.
The most depressing Christmas song, as far as I'm concerned, is River by Joni Mitchell. But I don't like Joni Mitchell's voice, so it's the Indigo Girls cover.
That's why it's depressing.
Her voice just gets on my nerves. There's like one frequency she sings that I don't like. But the Indigo Girls cover of River, which you can find on YouTube, is really, really great.
Are you gonna sing it in a silly voice?
No, I don't have a very good singing voice.
Neither do I. I was doing a silly voice.
Oh.
I wasn't a serious attempt at singing.
I only have 2 silly voices. Okay, 3. 2 are small boys and 1's an old lady.
You mix them together.
I don't know if I can sing in those kind of voices. Like, I can't even. Like, I don't even know what to do. Like, I was gonna do it, but I'm like, oh no. And it's not like this is live, so there's no pressure. But because I can always just edit this out if I want. But no, it's not happening. Sorry. Just sub that part in your brain. But this is like one of those like classic Rankin Bass, but I was never the biggest fan of this one. I'll be quite honest with you.
Honey, it's a classic in the same way that Horns of Nyman is a classic. It's part of classic Doctor Who, so technically
people feel really intense about this, and I'll tell you something else.
They can be stupid.
I checked to make sure that all of these were on YouTube, but I didn't check very well because I was at my uni computer. So I was like, oh, it's on YouTube in its entirety. That's grand. But so to get past Content ID, first of all, there was a dot filter over it that made it look like we were watching, like, you know, golden era comic book vision. Then the sound was all a wee bit up-pitched. So even Mickey Rooney was like, wow, come on, now let's go do the thing. And then the aspect ratio had been increased, but then it had been cropped. So everybody was an extreme close-up of vision. It was quite disturbing.
It was. There was a lot of... You were like...
And then, like, they were like, what's this? Like, ah, God, no.
When the title came up, it was like, Santa Claus.
And it was like just cut. It was... So that's... Wow, that's... We did 7. I think this is night 9. I don't even know what night it is. Because...
All I know is that when we do Christmasing 3, it's going to be feature films, and then Christmasing 4 is going to be, I don't know, TV adaptations of Charles Dickens things, so they're 8 hours each. These are getting longer and longer.
We have to do Bleak House, though.
Eventually, we're
I used to have Bleak House on DVD, the one, the Gillian Anderson one and everything. Yeah.
But eventually, like the Christmasing 15, because these become exponentially longer, we're going to have to review the universe every single night. The entirety of time.
Every single Christmas since the beginning of time. Christmas before the Big Bang.
Tell you, 101 AD was a piece of shit.
Well, wait a minute. How many Doctor Who Christmas specials have there been?
Feast of Stephen, there was Christmas Invasion, Runaway Bride, what am I doing? There's been 10.
Oh.
Because there's one every year of New Who. Plus, there's 11 actually, because there is the Feast of Stephen from the first Doctor. And then if you include the New Year special with 13 coming up, then you got 12.
Christmasing 3?
Doctor Who ones.
Maybe that'd be pretty cool. But yeah, so then we're almost done. And we have a special surprise at the end. You'll see what it is. Do you have anything else to say?
It was... like Lucas, it should go down the hole.
Oh, it should though.
Lucas, go down the hole.
Santa Claus, fall down the hole. This is a big anus. Good night.
You're suggesting Santa Claus is leaping down something's anus?
The Sarlacc.
It wasn't its anus, it was its mouth.
That's what you think.
That's what Jabba thought too.
Good night, everybody.